you had mentioned about the editor, that the editor is not aware of the reviewer or the author. It is actually a stage of triple blind review. Triple blind review wherein neither the author nor the reviewer nor the editor are known to each other. Their identity is not revealed. Even the editor is not aware as to who the author is, because when the manuscript is submitted to the editor, by the time it reaches the editor, the identity of the author is removed from there. So this is the review process. When we talk about peer reviewed, we understand that a journal that we should be selecting should always be peer reviewed. That is, when you submit your article, you should receive some critical reviews or critical opinions from the experts so that you can modify your article in as per the requirement of the journal, most important, and also maintain the quality of the journal. However, while selecting the journal, you can also check whether it is a blind review, it follows a blind review process or double blind review or triple blind review. All this is clearly mentioned in the journal page. Also, there's a process known as open review. I don't know if you've heard of this. Open review. This is when the identity of the author, the identity of the reviewer, editor, it is all revealed to each one of them at all these stages. So this is open review wherein no identity of neither of the parties is hidden from either of the parties. So I hope now you're clear with these terms: blind review, double blind review. Most of the journals clearly mention that they'll go through the blind review or the double blind review. But review is important. You should always, before selecting any journal, ensure that it is being reviewed by good experts. How to choose journals for submitting your paper? Now, of course, you are clear that you have to make sure that the paper is this is the journal is peer reviewed and the paper that you are submitting is also being peer reviewed. This is a very important advice that you should actually keep in your mind. It is crucial that you select a peer-reviewed journal which will present your research in the best way and convey it to the right target audience. Because once you publish your paper, your work, your role as an author does not stop here. It is your research work that is accessed by other researchers in the similar field and they refer to your work. So unless you ensure that the journal that you have selected will actually be picked up by people for the purpose of reading, it is only then that your research is conveyed to the right audience. And of course, the list of journals you have published, it can directly and indirectly affect your career advancement, your professional reputation, and in case you're looking for any funding opportunities in the future, your profile matters. And what does your profile consist of? Your publications, your research work. So where are these publications? In which journals you have got your papers published? All this is very, very important from the point of view of your career advancement, your professional reputation, and any other future funding opportunities if you're looking. So now I hope you're clear with this peer reviewed process. That is when you get your article reviewed, critically reviewed, I'd say, by some of the experts in that field. Now, since we are clear with the process, let's just understand what are the different types of journals which are available. To begin with, we'll be first understanding two main types, that is subscription-based journal and the open access journals. Subscription-based journals are also known as traditional journals. Now, how is a subscription-based journal different from an open access journal? When talking about the subscription-based, the readers pay for the content they read or download. Readers as in the people who are selecting your work for the purpose of reading it, for the purpose of understanding what you have done in your research paper. So in order to get access to your paper, they are required to pay. So when the reader is required to pay in order to read that paper or in order to download that piece of research, this kind of journal is known as subscription-based journal. The subscription-based journals can be paper-wise, as in for a particular article, you might be required to pay. or at times institutions take membership, the universities take membership of the journals, and the one-time subscription fees is paid by the institutions or the universities, and all the beneficiaries from that university get access to the papers published in those journals. Copyrights for the published content are usually transferred to the journal. That is, the author does not retain the copyright. If you can recall any of the papers which you could have submitted to the journal, in case it goes through the public, once it is through with the review process and gets accepted, you are required to submit a copyright form. This copyright form is the stage wherein you, being an author, are transferring your copyrights to the journal. That the journal, the copyright of that article now belongs to the journal. This is usually so because you are not paying for your research to be published. Because it is a subscription-based journal, you have chosen a journal which is subscription-based, wherein you, being an author, will not pay for the publication. However, the reader will pay for the publication in order to access the content. They usually publish for free, as I discussed, because the author is not required to pay. I have mentioned usually because at times some of the journals ask for certain article processing fee. Also, we'll come across certain publishing fees and all while discussing the predatory journals. But usually when we talk about subscription-based journals, they publish for free. This is from the point of view of author. Review process takes time. Of course, it does. Review process takes a lot of time because this is generally a free, as in publication in this journal is free of cost for the author. And since the reviewers are also not paid, so the review process generally takes time in comparison to the open access journals. And why is it so? Because under open access journals, readers are not charged. The people who are accessing your content, the scholars, the researchers who are accessing your content, they are not charged. They have free access to your work. Your research work is freely available to them. They have free access to your research work. And who is paying for it? Author is paying for it. Author pays for all the publication or the processing charges, and it is free for access for the readers. So in this case, authors retain the copyright. Now, since the author is paying for publication, the copyright is being retained by the author. Author usually have to pay article processing charges, APC as we call it, article processing charges. This is actually a one-time flat fees which is paid to the journal by the author in order to process the article for the purpose of publication. So they usually have to pay for the purpose of processing or publishing the article in the journal. Usually because there are actually various kinds of open access journals available. There's gold open access, there's platinum open access. So not all the open access journals are chargeable. They are often, as in most of the journals are often free. If I talk about the diamond or the platinum open access journal, wherein the author is not required to pay any public processing fees, still the article is open for access, freely open for access for the scholars. The review process is usually quick because author is paying for the purpose of publication, and therefore this fee, the processing fee that the author is paying, is a portion of it is transferred to the reviewers, and since the reviewers are paid for it, the review process is quick. Open access journals are, the trend for open access journals is rising, and it is like, if you think that you want your readership to increase, if you think that the research work that you've undertaken should be available to the people, to the public, to the scholars free of cost, you should always go for open access journals. This is a very good opportunity in order to increase the readership. However, it is completely the discretion of the author to decide whether he should select the subscription-based journals or open access journals. Because to sum up, under the subscription-based journals, it is the reader who has to pay for the fees. However, under the open access, it is the author who pays the fees, right? Benefits of open access publishing as to why one should go for open access journals. You get more exposure for your work, because otherwise, like when I talk about a subscription based journal, how is it different from an open access journal? Any paper that you wish to read, if it is a subscription based journal, you might get access only to the title of the paper, the abstract of the paper, and the keywords. Full text, full content of the paper is not visible. If you wish to access this paper, you're required to pay the fees. However, if the same article was published in the open access journal, the readers are not required to pay any fees. Now, since the readers are not required to pay any fees, the full text is available to them. The full text is available to them for the purpose of reading, for the purpose of downloading, and referring it in the future. So this gives more exposure to your work, because you allow the readers to go through the entire research work, because you have already paid the fees for it. Practitioners can apply your findings because they can access your findings and understand how you have derived these findings. Your citation improves. The number of citations obviously improve because people get access to your work. When they read their work, they understand your work, and out of your work, they might further, I'd say, the future scope that you've mentioned, or maybe carry forward your research work to the next stage. So your citation increases. Your research can influence policies, of course, because again, this full text is available in the public domain. Anyone who wishes to as in access any information relating to your topic, your research will pop up and the full text will be available. So it becomes easier for the researchers also. The general public can also access your findings, because the general public, I mean, not particularly the scholars, the researchers, anyone else, any person from the corporate or anyone else, any individual who's trying to find something or derive something. So he or she may refer to your work as well, because again, it is free of cost, freely available. So your work exposure increases. So the trend, that is why we say the trend of open access publishing is increasing, because the only objective is it is freely available for the purpose of reading and for the purpose of downloading for future reference for the readers. The third category of journal is predatory journals. One set of journal or one class of journals that you should actually stay away from is predatory journals. So we through with subscription based journals, the open access journals, we now move to the predatory journals. Now, what are these predatory journals? It is very important, you being a researcher, academician, to understand what these predatory journals are and how you should keep yourself updated with these predatory journals and ensure that you do not ever submit any of your research piece to these set of journals. Well, predatory journals function for profits mostly, and in terms of money, they lack scientific quality and display false credentials. All the information that is mentioned on the websites of these journals is mostly fake, is mostly false. These journals and publishers are entities that prioritize self-interest at the expense of scholars. So they do not care about what will a scholar do or what will happen to his or her research work. What is important to them is just money. They are characterized by false or misleading information, because this is how they attract researchers towards their journals and then charge exorbitant publishing fees in the like they charge in the form of publishing fees from the authors, and then commit to publish their research work, and at times they adjust the website, as in when you later on try to contact them, there is no contact details or the numbers which are mentioned do not work, and you are actually not aware as to where your research work is. So they might also use your research work to get it published somewhere else. You should always be aware and keep a track of these predatory journals. They lack transparency and or use of aggressive and indiscriminate solicitation practices. If like, how do they basically attract researchers? You might have been getting emails also. Like I very frequently receive emails, get your papers published in 1 month, get your paper accepted in like the acceptance will be communicated in next 15 days, in a week, in a day at times. You submit the article, you get the acceptance, and maybe the paper is published the very next day and they charge you around 5,000, 10,000. This set of journals or these set of journals are the journals who are unnecessarily charging by attracting the scholars, by attracting the researchers with the trap that the papers will be published the very next day or within the same month. And please don't get confused between the predatory journals and open access journals. There are two different set of journals. In both of these, the author is required to pay the fees. However, the open access journals, when you pay the fees, it is the article processing fees. Article processing charge, APC, and it is clearly mentioned what is this APC for, what is this processing fees for, and why is it used. We all know that once you publish in the open access journal, the article will be freely accessible by any of the readers. However, talking about the predatory journals, the money that you pay to the predatory journals straight away goes into their pockets. It is for their own interest and not for the interest of the author. How should one be aware of these predatory journals? Well, there are a lot of resources which have been publishing these predatory, a list of predatory journals. I'll just share this screen. Okay. So these are two resources wherein you could easily check the list of the publishers and the list of the journals which are potentially declared as the predatory journals and the publishers. This is BALL's list. BALL's list. You can easily Google it. It is available on the Google. Then is the list of predatory journals. So you can see this is the entire list of the journals which have been categorized as predatory journals, warning you to stay away from these journals while submitting your research work. Another this BALL's list, this is the list of the publishers and this is the list of the journals. If you click here, this is the other list for the publishers, which is exactly the same as given by the BALL's list. So you can check these journals, open these websites, access these websites, and looking at the websites only, you can differentiate between a website of say that of an Emerald journal or an Elsewhere journal or a Springer journal and compare to these predatory journal websites. There are different colors used. If you could read the scope or the content or the aim of the journal, that will be different, much like I'd say contrasting from the papers which are actually published in it. I had actually come across a journal which was Our Heritage. The journal was actually a heart, as in, I don't exactly remember the name of the journal, sorry. It wasn't Our Heritage, it was an art and culture journal. However, it published papers related to COVID-19 and its impact. And there was another journal similar to the same area and was publishing research in the area of mental health. So you need to be aware and verify whether the scope that is mentioned, does it match with the papers which are actually published in the journals. Now, if you check this journal, this is a predatory journal listed by the BALL's list, Abhinav. This is one of the publishers. And when I've opened this website, this is how the website looks, which you can very easily identify how Why is this image here? It is a journal wherein you're required to submit your papers, right? If you look at the contact details, there's hardly anything which is mentioned there. So you need to be very careful while selecting the journals for the purpose of publication. You should always refer to the list of predatory journals whenever you think there's some suspicion, you think that you might not be sure about the quality of the journal. Please do refer to these websites wherein you get the list of the publishers and the journals for the purpose of. This is actually to warn the scholars to stay away from these journals. Well, we will continue with the presentation. Okay. So this is about the predatory journals. So we've covered the types of journals. Let's just quickly sum up the entire categories that we've covered. We have covered subscription-based journals, open access journals, and predatory journals. Subscription-based journals wherein the author is not required to pay any fees. However, the reader pays the subscription or the payment which is regarding for the purpose of reading the article. What is the benefit for an author while submitting the paper to a subscription-based journal? He receives scientific peer review and high quality publishing. Number one, the paper is critically reviewed, so he gets the comments, the feedback from the experts, and after working upon the paper, revising the paper as per the requirements of the reviewers, the paper ultimately gets published. What is the benefit for a reader while accessing the papers from the subscription-based journals? He gets access to the quality content, which is important. Moving on to the open access journals, similar process. The only difference is the author pays the article processing fees. However, the reader is not required to pay any fees. Benefits to both of them. The author receives peer review and also the high quality publishing. And for the reader, he reviews the articles of scientific quality. Talking about the predatory journals, wherein the author has to pay the processing charges or the publication charges, like it is mentioned on their websites. The author, what does he receive? An insufficient scientific peer review, because see, it is a predatory journal. They do not have good experts or reviewers associated with it because they never intend to undertake the review process. So you being an author, once you submit the paper, you might at the first instance receive a confirmation or the acceptance from the journal that your paper has been selected for publication without even reviewing or without even opening that manuscript. The authors receive the email. So what is the point of submitting your papers in such journal when you do not receive any review? You do not get to know whether you are right or wrong, because you have just submitted your work. The journal, without even opening this manuscript, has sent you an acceptance, and you're very happy that you have to pay so much amount and your paper will be published. So please stay away from these set of journals. Being an author as well as being a reviewer, because if the content, you access the content from these predatory journals, being an author in the role of a reader, you also read the papers, the contents which are of poor quality, because they are never being reviewed by any of the experts. Experts, I mean, keeping the word experts apart, not even considered for review by any of the person, whether belonging to that field or not. So being an author also, you should stay away from the predatory journals. Also in the role of the reader, you should never try to access articles which are belonging to the predatory journals. So this sums up the types of journals. We shall move to the next section and understand what are the key indicators that one, being a researcher or a scholar, should keep in mind while selecting the journal for the purpose of publishing his or her research work. Well, these are the concepts that one should be very clear before selecting any journal. Let's first understand publishers. We all have heard of this term, publishers. Publishers are basically publishing journals, very famous, renowned publishers, Sage, Wiley, Elsewhere, Springer, Taylor and Francis, IndoScience, IGI Global. These are all the publishers. Publishers publish journals belonging to various disciplines, multidisciplinary as we call it. They might have journals in the area of general management, in the area of marketing, in the area of ethics, in the area of psychology, in the area of science. So, different journals belonging to different disciplines, but under one umbrella as a publisher. So, Sage, Springer, all of these publishers have multiple multidisciplinary journals under their umbrella. Next, we have Scopus. What is this Scopus? Scopus, which belongs to Elsewhere actually. Scopus is actually world's largest abstract citation database. Database because it indexes publishers. It indexes journals, not actually publishers, rather, I'm so sorry, it indexes journals. Journals which are of high repute, journals which maintain quality, journals which give quality content to the readers. These journals are indexed in Scopus. And Scopus issues the list after considering or going through a very typical review process, a complex review process, and only then it indexes a journal into its list. So it is not easy for a journal to become a part of the Scopus. And accessing the Scopus list is very easy. After this, we'll be going through the website also. So what is this Scopus? This is actually the abstract citation database, and this is the world's largest. This indexes content from over 5,000 publishers. So publishers like I've mentioned, Sage, Wiley, Elsewhere, their journals are indexed in Scopus. Scopus gives you site score. I don't know if you've heard of this term site score or not. In the coming slide, we'll be discussing what the site score is about. So we know who the publishers are. We know what journals are. We've understood what Scopus is. It is one of the citation databases. Similar to Scopus, we have Web of Science. Like Scopus belongs to Elsewhere. Web of Science is by Clarivate Analytics. Web of Science is again an index, abstract citation database that indexes content from journals of various publishers. They both do the similar work. It is just that Scopus belongs to Elsewhere while Web of Science belongs to Clarivate Analytics. Similar to CiteScore as given by Scopus, Web of Science gives you the impact factor. We'll be discussing what this impact factor is all about. Then the Web of Science, as we mentioned, it is an index that indexes journals into belonging to different disciplines. These journals are categorized under science. This is Science Citation Index. This is Science Citation Index Expanded. This is Emerging Science Citation Index. And this is Social Science Citation Index. We're talking about these three indexes first. These are the science citation indexes. This is the oldest of all science citation index that indexes the journals in the area of science. This has a very limited scope as compared to SCIE. So SCIE is a broader list in comparison to SCI because more number of journals are added to this list. Then we have another list, another index, which is ESCI, that is Emerging Science Citation Index. This is also the list which has been added up or continuously being reviewed by the Web of Science, that is Clarivate Analytics. And the journals which are indexed in ESCI will eventually be added to the SCIE or SCI. So this is kind of the, I'd say, the waiting list because the journals which are indexed in ESCI do not have any impact factor. The journals which are indexed in as SCI or SCIE have the impact factor, but ESCI journals do not have the impact factor. Next, we have SSCI, that is Social Science Citation Index. So this is in the field of social sciences. These three belong to the field of science, and this is in the area of social sciences. So the journals in the area of social sciences that meet the requirements of Web of Science, the rules that they follow, the protocols that they follow in order to select the journal to be indexed with Web of Science. So this is the part of Web of Science. And Web of Science gives you the impact factor. We'll understand what this impact factor is and how is a site score different from an impact factor. Another important database that you should be aware of is Science Direct. Well, what is the Science Direct? Again, being a product of Elsewhere, this is a platform wherein you can access full content. Full content of what? Full content or the full text of the articles which are published under Elsewhere. So some of the articles for which the full text is available, you can access that content under Science Direct. So this is a repository wherein you can refer it for the purpose of accessing the full text of the papers. So publishers, then indexes, that is Scopus and Web of Science. And we've also understood one of the platforms, which is Science Direct, that is basically used in order to access the full content of the paper. So these are certain key indicators that you should be clear and very, very clear in your mind before selecting any journal for the purpose of publication. We next move to the journal citation matrix and the rankings. Now, what are these citation matrices and the rankings? Please hold on for a minute. Well, talking about these citation matrices or these ranking tools, this is basically used to identify highly cited journals in your field. That is the journals which have high citations. That is, people are referring to these journals, and from after reading their work, they are citing these journals in their research work. So through this, what we develop citation matrices. By we I mean there are indexing companies, indexes that basically come up with these citation matrices. So these are basically used to identify the highly cited journals. They're sourced from different ranking tools and publisher websites. Like talking about the citation matrices, the terms that I was discussing in the previous slide, impact factor and site score. As discussed, impact factor is by Clarivate Analytics and site score is by Scopus. We'll understand how is this calculated and how should one check these impact factor and site score before selecting or choosing any journal before for the purpose of submitting his or her work. Similar to this, we have ranking tools. Now, what are these ranking tools? You might have heard of ABDC list. You might have heard of Scimago Journal and Country Rank, that is SJR, that is Scimago Journal and Country Rank. So these are the ranking tools and these are the citation matrices. Let's understand how are these calculated or what are these actually. To begin with, we start with the journal impact factor that is given by Clarivate, which is by the Web of Science. Impact, journal impact factor. That is, you are trying to understand what is the impact of this journal. Impact on whom? Impact on the readers, impact on the scholars, impact on the people who are actually reading these journals or accessing these journals for the purpose of finding out the research related to their area. So how is this impact factor calculated? This is nothing but a citation frequency that is calculated by dividing the number of current year citations to the source items published in that journal during the previous 2 years. So in simple words, it takes into consideration the number of citations that a journal receives in last 2 years and divides it by the number of items which are items, I mean the papers which are published. So the number of papers which are published in that journal in that period of 2 years. So the average of it is nothing but your impact factor. Say for example, for the year 2016, there's some journal say X, and in the year 2015, it has received around 5,598 citations, while in the year 2014, it had received around 3,754 citations. These are the number of citations, that is, while creating the reference section, you mention the details, right? Full details of the author, the name of the journal, the name of the paper. So how many times has this particular journal X being cited? So in the year 2015, it was cited for 5,598 times, while in the year 2014, it was cited for 3,754 times. So this sums up to 9352. So these are the total number of citations that becomes your numerator, while the total number of items published in that journal. So in the year 2015, we had 26 articles, while in the year 2014, we had 24. So this sums up to 50. So this becomes your denominator. So when you divide the numerator by the denominator, the value is 187.0. What is this? This is the impact factor. That is how much impact the journal has created, in the sense that how frequently it has been cited by the authors. And it takes into account the time period of last 2 years. Like if we have been calculating the site score for 2016, this will take into consideration 2014 and 15. Likewise, if you're calculating the impact factor for 2021, so this will take into consideration 2020 and 2019. So number of citations in 20 in 2019, say it is 20 and this is 50. So 70 becomes your numerator, and number of articles, say 10 articles each issue. So this becomes 20. So 70 by 20 is your impact factor. Now I hope you are clear with this. And this impact factor is not your job. This is the job of the journal. This is the job of Clarivate to calculate this impact factor. And the same is mentioned on the website of Clarivate as well as on the website of the respective journal as well. So this shows how highly cited the average document in a journal is in relation to others in its discipline. So if I talk about the impact factor as 15 of one of the journals, and say other journal Y, which has an impact factor of 12. So if you have a chance to pick which journal you will be selecting for the purpose of publishing your research, so obviously you will be choosing X journal because it has a higher impact. The chances of citations, since the number of citations for the previous 2 years have been high, you expect the same to be in the coming years. The quality of, however, please keep this in mind, these impact factors do not necessarily guarantee the measure of the quality, because still there are certain journals who do not have any impact factor. Like if they're not listed or not indexed in the Clarivate list, however, they still are of good quality. So you should also check the other details while submitting the articles to any of these journals. Next, we have another citation matrix, which is CiteScore. Well, CiteScore, this is similar to impact factor. This is again a citation frequency. The major difference between impact factor and CiteScore is that CiteScore belongs to Scopus, while impact factor is by Clarivate. CiteScore takes into consideration publications for the previous 3 years, while impact factor takes into consideration the publications for the previous 2 years. This is only the major difference. Otherwise, the entire process remains the same. Numerator being the total number of citations received in the previous 3 years, while the denominator being the total number of documents published in those 3 years. So this also shows how highly cited the average article in a journal is relative to others in its discipline. Why? Because you calculate the average number of citations which are received in a year to the documents which are published in the preceding 3 years. So for the purpose of calculating CITE score for the year 2015, you divide A by B. And what is this A? A, that is your numerator, are the citations that you received. So citations in the year 2014, 2013, and 2012. You sum up these. Similarly, your denominator is the documents which are published in the year 2000, as in the year that you are referring to, the last 3 years. So this is basically 2014, 13, and 12. So number of citations in these 3 years, that becomes your numerator. And the number of documents published in these 3 years in that respective journal becomes your denominator. You add up these 3 values for the numerator as well as the denominator. And after dividing, what you get is your CITE score. This is again mentioned on the Scopus website. You're not required to calculate the CITE score. It is mentioned on the Scopus website. You can easily refer to the Scopus website in order to ascertain the CITE score of any journal. Or if you're confused between 2 journals, which one to choose for the purpose of submitting your article, you can refer to the Scopus website. Next, we have the rankings, the journal ranking list. Most of you have heard of this term, the ABDC journal ranking list. And I am hoping that since you've heard of this term, it will be easier for me to explain this. ABDC, that is Australian Business Deans Council, issues a list that indexes, that basically list down certain journals based on certain parameters. They are divided into different categories. Like, for example, the latest list, which was issued by ABDC, this was in 2019. Around 2,682 journals were indexed in this list, and there were 4 categories identified. What are these 4 categories? A star, A, B, and C. And these categories are actually in the order of prestige. Like if I talk about A star, this is the most prestigious category of the journals. You move to the next category, that becomes A, which is one level lower than A star. Likewise, you have B, which is one level lower than A, and similarly C. So these 4 categories basically list some journals as A star, A, B, and C, depending upon their quality parameters. And this list, which the latest list is from the year 2019. You can easily refer to this list from the ABDC website. It is, when you type ABDC journal list, you will be getting an access to the Excel list for 2019. A star, A, B, C, this is nothing but ranks. And on the basis of these ranks, you have around 199 journals belonging to the A star category, 651 journals belonging to the A category, 850 journals to the B category, and similarly 982 journals to the C category. Similar to this ABDC ranking list, you have SJR, that is Samago Journal Rank. Like you had A star, A, B, and C, this rank actually identifies and categorizes journals into 4 categories, which is Q1, Q2, Q3, and Q4. This Samago journal ranking is again a Scopus database. This is given by Scopus. This not only gives you the rank of a journal, this also gives you the rank of a country for that particular journal. There are certain visual tools also which you can access. How is this journal rank calculated? Similar processes are being followed. The only difference in this is it limits the self-citation impact, because most of us have actually come across the situations wherein when you're referring to a particular article, the journal in which that article has been published. In the reference section, you can refer to few of the articles published in the same journal. So that is known as self-citation from the point of view of journal. Like you also self-cite your articles in your future forthcoming articles. Similarly, you refer to certain articles in a specific journal and thereafter you target your article for that journal. And luckily, if you get through that review process, your article gets published. So this journal ranking, when this is calculated, this does not take into consideration the self-citations. So again, calculated based on the number of citations and the number of documents that are the main parameters, this self-citation is actually reduced. This also considers the statistics for the previous 3 years. These are the 4 categories or the 4 quartiles as they call Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4. These are again the ranks. So the first 25% of the journals, that is the top 25% journals, are under the Q1 category. The next 25 to 50% of the journals belong to the Q2 category. The third category or the third quartile, that is Q3, has the 50 to 75% the journals, while the last category takes into consideration the 75 to 100% journals. It is actually Q4. So the most prestigious journals in a particular subject area are those occupying the first quartile, that is Q1. So this is again in the order of, I'd say, rigor or the order of prestige, that is Q1, Q2, Q3, and Q4. So this is your SJR ranking. I'll take you to this website once so that to how this website. I'm hoping the screen is visible. You are able to see the Scopus website on the screen. Can one of you please confirm?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. So I was talking about the CiteScore. I was talking about Scopus. And as I told you, this is the citation database, the world's largest citation database. It indexes around 42,180 journals belonging to various disciplines. This is the CiteScore, which you can see. So depending upon the area you work into or the journals that you're targeting, say, for example, I am targeting this particular journal. So I can check the details of this journal. This is BMC Medical Ethics. This is an open access journal. And now I hope you all understand what are open access journals. This is the CiteScore, the percentile, the citations for the previous 3 years, the documents cited, then the name of the publisher, the SJR. SNIP is also one of the ranking as SJR, again issued by Scopus. This is actually the source normalized impact per paper. And this is again calculated by Scopus based on certain parameters. If you wish to access and check the details of these journals, you can just click on that respective journal and you'll get to know Scopus coverage from 2000 to present. That is, it is still under indexed under Scopus. And the previous citations, you can site scores, you can check here for all the previous years. So this is how you can refer to the Scopus website in order to check the site score. Similarly, you can access Web of Science for checking the impact factor. We were talking about SJR, that is Semargo Journal and Country Rank. You can simply type the name of the journal or the keywords. This is actually used, as I told you, as in order to rank the journals, the country. You also have certain visualization tools which you can explore later after the session. So the journal ranks basically, these are the rankings wherein you can access the, see this Q1. So these are all the journals which are indexed under the first quartile. You can filter this depending upon your respective field, your areas. You can filter it out and accordingly select journals. You can also select journals country-wise actually. So as you can see, I selected the country Africa. So from Africa, there's one journal belonging to this field of business and management, that is South African Journal of Business Management, which is an open access journal. This logo is actually for open access journal. It belongs to the Q4 quartile. These are the total number of documents which are published, then the total references, the total sites. All this information can be easily accessed. Similarly, you get country rankings also depending upon the publications belonging to that particular country. As you can see, US is on the top list and India is on the 7th list. So you can make use of this website and check the SJR ranking. So I hope you are clear with these journal matrices and journal ranking tools. I'll just quickly take you through the author rankings as well. So we are through with this indicators. We are through with these matrices. I hope you are clear with the impact factor, site score. Then you have the journal rankings as ABDC ranking, SJR ranking. Another index or the list that you refer is UGC CARE list, which I believe all of us have heard of. So this recently revised list has been divided into two groups. Initially there were 4, now they have been divided into two groups. So UGC CARE 1 list, that is basically the list of journals which are indexed in UGC. After thorough assessment, this list has been developed, and the group 2 basically takes into consideration all the other journals which have been indexed in the renowned world indexes databases like Web of Science and Scopus. So all the journals which are indexed in Web of Science and Scopus will be available in the group 2 list, while in the group 1 list, you can access the journals which are indexed by UGC. This is, you can easily access these lists which are available free of cost. Another important parameters which you being a researcher should know are H index and I10 index. Well, talking about H index, as of now, I'll be explaining you how this is calculated for an author. But this H index is actually calculated for a journal. This is also calculated for an institution or a university. H index is also calculated for a country, as you had seen in the SJR ranking. You will see that for the country also H index is calculated. Now, what is this H index? This H index basically is a quality indicator. How is this assessed? Depending again upon the number of citations. So this varies from site to site. Why have I mentioned so? Because this H index is calculated. As of now, currently I'm talking about from the point of view of author. So from the perspective of an author, if I talk about H index, this varies from site to site, because if I talk about H index based on the Scopus or Google Scholar or ResearchGate or any other platform, the H index varies. And why is it so? Depending upon how is this calculated. So this H index is calculated by counting the number of publications for which the author has received, or sorry, has been cited by other authors at least the same number of times. For example, if I say the author has a H index of 5. So this means of all the publications that this author has, let's assume he has around 20 publications. So out of these 20 publications, 5 of his publications have been cited at least 5 times. So the largest number for which your minimum number of publications have been cited. So at least 5 of his citations have been cited at least 5 times. So that becomes his H index. Similarly, this is calculated for the journal. Similarly, this is calculated for a university or an institution. Another parameter, that is I-10 index. What is this I-10 index? This is only issued by the Google Scholar. This remains the same throughout because this is the only I'd say issued by Google Scholar. And what is this? Of all of these citations, let's assume this is person R. We have calculated his H index. It is 5. That is, at least 5 of his publications out of 20 publications have minimum 5 citations. Now, if I talk about his I-10 index, let's assume his I-10 index is 2. Now, what does this imply? This 2 implies that at least 2 of his research works or the research articles have minimum 10 citations. So at least 2 of his research work have minimum 10 citations. This is what an I-10 index means. I'll just quickly take you through the website of Google Scholar so that you can understand this H index and I-10 index. And then we shall proceed to the next section, that is your journal selection. Okay, I am hoping the Google Scholar screen is visible to you. So this is Google Scholar. You can create your profile here being a researcher. This right panel, as you can see, this gives citations, H index, I-10 index. Now this H index, when you click here, you'll also read how is this calculated. That is the largest number, H, such that H publications have at least H citations. So out of all the publications of Professor Hiranting, his H index is 27, which implies at least 27 publications have been cited 27 times, right? And when I talk about I-10 index, this says the number of publications which have minimum 10 citations. So this is 51. So out of all the publications of Professor Hiranting, 51 publications have at least 10 citations. This is automatically calculated, or when you create a Google profile, you add your publications to that profile. So based on the citations that these H index and I-10 index are constantly updated. You do not have to do the calculation. This is done by Google Scholar. So this is based on the journals which are indexed as per Google, right? As per Google Scholar, the journals which are indexed, based on it, H index and I-10 index is calculated. Since I told you H index varies, so when I talk about Scopus is another database like Google Scholar. I'd say the coverage of Scopus is less as compared to Google Scholar because the number of journals which are indexed in Scopus are less. Accordingly, the H index will vary. Again, the H index will vary when you change the platform again from Scopus. So this will keep on changing, this will keep on varying, but I-10 index, Google Scholar is the only platform that calculates the I-10 index. So I am hoping you are clear with this section of presentation. So we are through with these quality indicators, quality parameters, journal matrices, ranking tools. We understand the basics of the different types of journals which are available. What is this peer review process? We've understood. We can now identify journals based on H index, based on their site score, based on their impact factor. Let's now proceed towards selecting those appropriate journals. All right. So we move to the next process, next section of the session, that is your journal selection. Well, this advice from one of the very famous editor, that is Professor Stephen Ball, who's a editor of Journal of Education Policy. He says, some people who send papers simply send it to the wrong journal. And that's becoming increasingly the case. And it's surprising how many people submit papers clearly, never having read the journal, never opened a page of the journal, or read on the website what is the journal interested in. Because you do not go through the requirements of the journal, and straight away, if someone refers to a say X or Y journal, you submit your paper to that journal. It is very important that you select the right kind of journal. So he says, me being an editor, I have been fielding out papers at the initial stage, which we should have never sent out for the purpose of review. And I write back and say, sorry, this doesn't fit within the remit of our journal. This is when you get your papers desk rejected. Why is it so? Because most of the times we do not check the scope of the journal. We do not check what kind of papers, what kind of research work is actually published in that journal. Is my paper, the objectives, the results, the findings that I've been working upon, matching the requirements of that respective journal? So it is very important to identify the right journal and then submit your respective paper to that journal. But how to select the correct journals? How to find out the right journal or the appropriate journal, I'd say, for the purpose of submitting my paper? Well, there's a checklist that you should keep in your mind while selecting or while shortlisting the journals for the purpose of submitting your work. Number one is the scope of the journal. This is very clearly mentioned on the journal page as to what is the aim and scope of the journal. What is the journal actually looking for? What kind of research work it is looking for? So you should clearly read and understand the scope and then identify whether this scope or this journal meets your requirements or not. Next is indexing, which I hope now you all can understand. Where is the journal indexed? Is it indexed in Web of Science, Scopus, UGC indexed? So you can now check these indexes. Rankings. The rankings now you can check. ABDC, SJR, all of these ranking tools are available wherein you can you can check the rank of the respective journals that you have shortlisted. Next important parameters that you should check is number of issues. Number of issues, that is the first slide that I was talking about, periodical. So the frequency of publications, as in the frequency of issues that the journal comes up with. See, if a journal publishes annually in comparison to a journal which publishes monthly, the number of articles that a monthly journal requires will be way more than the number of articles that a yearly journal requires. So the chances of publication are high in a monthly journal as compared to an yearly journal or a biannual journal. So you should be able to identify issues is very clearly mentioned. It is a quarterly journal, it is a monthly journal, it is an annual journal. It is mentioned on the website of the journal. So you should check, because you should be prepared that this is an annual journal, which means the review process will be slow. You'll be receiving the initial decisions, say after 5-6 months, the final decisions probably after 2 years. So all of this you can make out by reading the number of issues. Quality of the journal, looking at the peer review process and the impact factor of the journal. Review time. time to first decision, and the time to acceptance. Now, where to check this? This set of information is generally not available on the journal website. And I'll help you with how to check this set of information. Special issue. Now, this is a very important parameter that one should check while submitting papers to a journal. At times, these journals have been coming up with special issues. Special issues basically focus on a very small area, very narrow research work interest, and they are generally quick in publishing, as in the timelines for submitting the paper, for receiving the first intimation from the respective editors, then the time to final publication. All of these deadlines are generally decided well in advance. So it becomes easier for you to target these journals, provided you fit in the scope of these special issues, and the process becomes quicker in comparison to the regular issues. Then you need to check whether it is an open access journal or a subscription based journal, because what is important is the article processing fees. If you are willing to pay the fees, go for an open access. If you think you're not willing to pay the fees, then you should go for a subscription based journals, because in this case, the readers will pay the fees. Acceptance rate. Acceptance rate of the journal. That is, out of the articles published, how many articles are being accepted by these journals? What is the acceptance rate? 5%, 6%, 2%, 10%. This information is available not on the journal website. There are certain journal selection tools which we'll now be covering after this, and I'll help you as to how you can find out these acceptance rate or this review time to understand this. And of course, the publication fees. The fees that the author is required to pay while submitting once the paper has been published, accepted for publication rather. So this is the checklist that you should check before shortlisting or before selecting the journals for the purpose of submitting your research work. We then move to when should the journal selection be done? Well, this is a very difficult question to answer. I was listening to the session of Dr. Parul Kumar yesterday, and she had also discussed this. When should actually be the appropriate time that you should select the journals? We've discussed what parameters one should check while selecting the journals. When should actually this process be done? Before drafting the paper, as in you're still working on the paper, you are still conceptualizing the paper, you're still thinking what you need to do, you are identifying the research gaps. Is that the time wherein you should start identifying and checking which journals you will be targeting? Or is it when you are in the process of drafting the paper? Or this should be done when you are through with the work of writing the paper, your paper is ready for publication. Now let's do the process of identifying the journals. Well, you being an author are free to decide as to which is the right stage according to you that you should begin the process of hunting the right or appropriate journals. But I'll just brief you about the pros and cons of each of these stages. If you're doing it before drafting the paper, this is actually the best stage when you should actually do it, because this saves your time. You know the entire framework, you know the entire structure, you know the requirements, the guidelines of the respective journal, and you can frame your paper accordingly. The reference requirements, the sections that you're required to create in your journals, the theoretical backgrounds that they're looking for, all the structure that was discussed yesterday basically. So that structure can be framed keeping in mind, because you are clear as to what is the requirement of the journal. This is the X journal that you're targeting. You read all the submission guidelines and you draft your article accordingly. Or while you are in the process of drafting, in that case, you need to make the revisions. As per the requirements, you might have to include, add or remove certain sections from the paper. So that you might have to do in the process. So that will again take a toll on you because you have done most of the work. It of course depends upon which stage are you into. Are you in the 10% stage or 50% stage or 75% stage? While drafting can be any percentage, right? So you might have to tailor the manuscript according to the requirement of the audience, requirement of the journal, because only once you meet the submission guidelines, it's then that you can submit your paper. Or you will do it after drafting the paper. Well, this is something that you should avoid because in that case, the paper has already been written, everything has been done. But now the journal is asking you to please revise the manuscript because this is not as per the requirement of the journal. So you need to do the editing now. Maybe the references need to be changed. Probably if you're not following the referencing management tools like the softwares that we have, in case you're not following, then you have to manually edit all the references also. So it is being the role, being as in you playing the role of the author, you need to decide how and when you need to do the journal selection. Before drafting, while drafting, or after drafting. With this, we move to the last section, that is how do you select these journals? The various journal selection tools, these are actually, your work has been simplified by these publishers, Elsewhere, Wiley, Springer, Taylor and Francis. They have actually created their journal suggesters, journal finders, wherein you can give details of your work that you're doing, like the title of the paper or the abstract of the paper. And these journal selection tools will help you in identifying the appropriate journals. Let's take up these journal selection tools one by one. Let's start with Elsewhere. Still have time. I'll quickly take up these journal selection tools and then we can take up the questions. Okay, we shall start with Elsewhere. Elsewhere has its journal finder. This is journalfinder.elsewhere.com. Elsewhere, as we all know, is a publisher. So when you come to this website, you can see paper title, paper abstract, keywords, field of research. So I'll just add the details here and we'll see how these journal selection tools help us in selecting the appropriate journals. This is one of the articles which has been published. So this is the paper title. Articles you can submit, abstracts you can submit only when your article is ready. In case you do not have your article ready, you can just click on don't have an abstract and accordingly proceed to the next steps. Ms. Nandini, can you please confirm the screen is visible, the journal finder, Elsewhere journal finder? I just wanted to be sure. Or any of
it's
the
visible. It's visible.
Thank you, sir. Okay. So I have copy pasted the title of one of my published papers and the paper abstract is also here. You can enter the keywords also. I just did. Okay. Just manually enter. This problem. Just write one word. Okay. And field of research, if you want to limit your filters, you can select the field of research. This, for example, is a study in the area of social sciences. Find journals. This will give you a list of 48 journals which are indexed with elsewhere. That is the elsewhere journals, around 48 journals. This journal finder thinks is matching your requirements. Now, depending upon your suitability, you can shortlist these journals. This is basically the range of site score because we're taking elsewhere. Elsewhere gives you the site score, time to first decision from 0 to 52 weeks, and so on. So you can filter out. See, as of now, it is giving you 48 journals. You cannot wait for first decision for over 52 weeks. You want to shorten this time to say 17 weeks. Let's assume 17 weeks. Just one journal has been removed. Shorten it to 10 weeks. And similarly, the site scores also, I am okay with up to 6 site score. So this is now shortlisted to 27 journals. Publication type. Do you want an open access journal or a subscription based journal? You can filter it here also. Then in that case, it will filter out only the results which are either open access or subscription based. Now let's understand how this functions. So this is a journal, International Journal of Management Education, which this journal finder thinks is matching as per my requirement. Here is all the detail. Text match score, that is to the extent the text I have typed in and the kind of text or the content that this journal accepts. Site score that we discussed, it has 5.1. Impact factor. Why is it mentioned here? Because this particular journal is also indexed with Clarivate. And so it has its impact factor also. So some of the journals might have both site score and impact factor, while some of the journals might have just site score or only impact factor, depending upon where have these journals been indexed. Acceptance rate that I was talking about, it is 9%. It is a good acceptance rate. Time to first decision. Within 3 weeks of your submission, you will receive the first intimation from this particular journal. And time to publication, it is 7 weeks. Very good. Within 2 months, you will be getting the information related to your publication. So this, like in case you get through the review process, within 7 weeks, the article gets published. If you click here on this down arrow, this will give you further information. Open access fees. See, this is the open access fees. It is $3,360. The top readership countries for this respective journal. The subject area of the journal, the recent articles in the similar work that I have been referring to. What are the recent articles that have been published? The scope of the journal and all the more information, and read more on this journal, as in you'll get much more information about this, and this will also lead you to the journal website if you want. Journal website or directly submit your paper. Similarly, we can check other journals that this has suggested us. Technology in Society, Journal of Hospitality, Leisure, Sport and Tourism Education, Clinical Simulation, Journal of Economic Psychology. Like this is one journal which has again site score and impact factor. The acceptance rate is 8%. This is open access plus subscription based. दोनों है इसमें. Time to first decision 4 weeks. Time to publication 18 weeks. So you can check the details here and accordingly decide. So most of us were initially not aware as to which journals target to. So these publishers will do the work for you. They will shortlist the journals based on your requirement, and then based on the checklist that we had discussed, the site scores, the impact factor, the acceptance rate, the time that you think you can maintain patience and wait for the first decision, you can submit your papers to these journals. Similarly, like this is the journal finder by Elsewhere, we have journal suggester by Springer. So Springer comes up with this journal suggester wherein you are required to type in the manuscript title, then the manuscript text. So I'll just copy paste the abstract here. Subject area. So this is in the field. I've selected business and management and suggest journals. So all the journals which are these Springer journals, this journal suggester will filter out those journals for you based on your requirements. And this has given me a list of journals, both subscription based and open access. You can check the impact factor also. First decision within 22 days, acceptance rate, the other details you can check here. This is indexed by all of these indexations, then publication charges, the scope of the journal, aim and scope, all the information is mentioned. So you can use, this is another tool that you can use, Springer Journal Suggester. You can also refine your recommendations based on your minimum requirement for impact factor or the minimum acceptance rate. Like there, we could filter out the site score and the time to first decision. Similarly, you can mention it here in the Springer Journal Suggester. So minimum impact factor, minimum acceptance rate, maximum time to first decision. You are focusing on open access journals or subscription based journals or all the journals, and accordingly you can instruct these journal suggesters to find or suggest appropriate journals for you. And you can, this will directly lead you to the journal websites also in order to check the further information. So similar to the Springer and elsewhere, Taylor and Francis, Sage, Wiley, all of these publishers have their journal selection tools, Journal Finder, Journal Suggester, and likewise. Well, there's another tool that I'd want you to understand. This is Researcher Journal Finder. The tools we had just discussed belong to the specific publishers. Now, if I am looking for journals, I'm not clear as to whether I have to focus only on the elsewhere journals or only on the Springer journals. I am okay with the publisher, any type of publisher. I just want the appropriate journals or the list of appropriate journals. So this Researcher Journal Finder helps you to identify the journals irrespective of the publishers. Say, for example, I type some, you can type the title, keywords, whatever you think. Say CSR and corporate governance, right? And find journals. So this Researcher Journal Finder will help you in identifying the journals belonging to various publishers. This can be Sage, this can be Wiley, this can be journals. I'll just limit it to specific CSR. Though it has a very limited content, but still you can refer to this website. See, for CSR, this has given me certain suggestions. This is sustainability, one of the journals. If I click on more information, this tells me this is an MDPI Open Access Publishing Journal. This is the name of the publisher, the ISSN, and the description related to the journal. This will lead me to the journal website and the similar papers in the area that I have been looking for. Likewise, there is corporate social responsibility and environmental management, Journal of Business Ethics. This, I think, this is Kluwer Academic Publishers, some other publisher. Then you have Social Responsibility Journal. I think this is elsewhere. Sorry, IMRAD. So this belongs to IMRAD. So you can select or identify or shortlist journals using this tool also, that is Researcher Journal Finder. So with this, I shall So these are the journal selection tools that you can refer for the purpose of finding out or identifying the appropriate journals for your research. So with this, I end up my session and I am open to questions now. I request the organizers to please help me as to how do we take the questions. Should I take the questions from the chat first?
Ma'am,
Yes,
I
ma'am.
think if you wanted otherwise, so those participants who have queries, please raise your hand. I'll unmute.
Actually, there are a lot of questions in the chat section. I think I should meanwhile take these queries also. You can
Sure.
participants one by one. I'll also take up, meanwhile, I'll take up the questions from the chat as well.
Ma'am, you start taking the queries from the chat box. Meanwhile, the other participants can raise their hand,
Sure,
and
ma'am.
afterwards we'll just unmute them.
Sure, ma'am. Sure.
All right, ma'am.
So this is Journal of Accounting. Just peer review we discussed. अच्छा उसमें आपके Journal of Accounting and Finance's H-indexed status or ranking according to ABDC or Scopus. So you can check this on the Scopus website. On the Scopus website, you can refer to the site score. Regarding the rankings, you'll have to check the ABDC list. Accordingly, you'll identify. You'll know that it is A star, A, B, or C. I'm so sorry, ma'am. I'll not be able to provide you with this PPT. I think you've been attentive enough throughout the session, and there is no content as such in the PPT. Can we freely access Elsewhere Journal Finder? Yes, sir, it is free. I have just accessed it in front of you. You do not need any subscription. Just type Elsewhere Journal Finder on the Google. Really enriching session. Thank you. Thank you so much. Can you please explain the role of ABDC? How is it different from Scopus? Okay. Sir, ABDC gives the ranking to the journals. Ranking in the sense they have identified 4 categories, 4 ranks that I'd say A star, A, B, and C. So these 4 ranks in the order of prestige, A star being the most prestigious rank, then A, then B, and then C. So they have identified journals which are fit or which are suitable as per the requirement of A star category. Likewise, A, B, C, and D. So this is a rank that has been assigned. So if I talk about a journal, say X, if it is ranked as A star, it is assumed to be of the most prestigious journal. And likewise, if it is a C star, as in it has been ranked under the C category, I'd assume, I'd consider that out of all of the journals, the rank is the lowest, C being the lowest rank and A star being the highest rank. Scopus, on the other hand, is an indexation database. If you are referring it from the point of view of comparison, ABDC gives you the rank for a journal. Scopus gives you the citation matrix, that is, how frequently the articles from this X journal have been indexed. So Scopus will give you a cite score. This is what it calculates. Say, for example, 3.2, let's assume, is the cite score. So this is based on the number of citations that this journal receives based upon the number of documents which have been published in this respective journal. So both are different parameters, but the idea, the perspective is the same, that we are ranking the journals or we are identifying which is a better journal amongst the journals that we've been selecting. So you can refer to the ranks, you can also refer to the cite scores and identify higher the rank as in A star, then A, then B, and then C, and higher the cite score, it implies that it is a good journal. Yeah, I think we're through with this ABDC and Scopus. Can you please provide direct link to such resources? Which resources in particular, sir, are you referring to? Like the journal selection tools, you can clearly simply mention Journal Finder, Elsewhere Journal Finder, Journal Suggester, Springer, Wiley. They are easily accessible. You can still try doing it. In case you don't find it out, I'll help you again. Okay. Udit Maheshwari, I have published some of my papers in predatory journals. Yes, yes, yes. You actually, these predatory journals are not considered good journals. Of course, you understand why. And if you have already published your papers in these journals, we cannot do anything, but at least retrieve your papers from the journals, because they can anytime be gone from the, as in if it is an electronic journal, the copy of it is available. This might have been gone. Moreover, this will bring a bad name to you because you have published your paper in one of the predatory journals. And this has already been done, so this is something I can't help you with. Thank you. Thank you for the comments. ESCI is actually Emerging Science Citation Index. Emerging science, emerging, I hope you understand the meaning of this word emerging. So they are the journals which have been identified and shortlisted by Clarivate. An entire list has been developed. These journals are being monitored on regular basis, and their performance has been continuously assessed, and eventually some of these journals might move to the SCIE or SCI list. So their performance are still being assessed. You can say they are in the waiting list. ESCI, that is Emerging Science Citation Index, and they would eventually be added up to the list of SCI or SCIE journals. Taken this H index. Okay, H index is basically it is actually the largest number such that at least H articles, in that publication are at least are cited at least H times, which basically means if I say I have 30 publications, right? All the 30 I'm talking about only Google Scholar as of now. Let's assume all of these 30 publications which are indexed in the Google Scholar index. All of the journals are indexed in the Google Scholar. So out of these 30 publications, not all the publications are cited. Cited, you understand that people are referring to your work and mentioning your research work in their reference section. So out of these 30 papers, around 7 papers have been cited, right? Some of them have just come up. They are still, as in not the recently been published, and people are still going through these papers, reading those papers. So they're not yet mentioned in the reference section and the paper has been published, right? So out of these 30, 7 articles have been cited by different other authors. Fine. Your H index as calculated by Google Scholar is, let's assume, 3. Now, what does this 3 imply? 3 means that out of these 7 articles which have been cited, at least 3 articles have been cited at least 3 times. At least 3 of these 30 articles have been cited at least 3 times. So which means out of those 7 articles which have been cited, might be the rest 4 have been cited 1 or 2 times, but जो सबसे बड़ा नंबर है उसमें वो 3 है. ये सारे के सारे आर्टिकल्स में मिनिमम कितनी आपकी साइटेशंस हो चुकी हैं? तो कम से कम 3 आर्टिकल्स 3 बार साइट हो चुके हैं. मतलब एक आर्टिकल की मिनिमम 3 साइटेशंस हो चुकी हैं. So this is how the H index is calculated. I hope you are clear with it now. Is is there any connection between SJR and ABDC? These are both ranking tools. Like you have Scopus and Web of Science. These are by different publishers. Similarly, SJR is by Scopus and ABDC is by the ABDC. How to check citations? Sir, जो Google Scholar का हमने डिस्कस किया था, वहां पे आप नंबर ऑफ citations चेक कर सकते हैं अपनी. On LinkedIn, I am with the same name, Neha Kumar, in case you wish to find, some of you have mentioned. What about special issues? Nowadays, there are a lot of Facebook pages asking for paper submission against charges. How can this practice be stopped? Sir, this practice can be stopped only when we, being the researchers, we being the authors, stop submitting our research work to these set of journals. Till the time we are still submitting these journals, this practice won't stop. And particularly when you have to decide whether this is a good journal or not, I have actually listed down a lot of parameters that you could check in order to identify that whether it is a predatory journal or not. So you should please check the details and only then you should submit your paper to that respective journal. Also, one more thing I might have missed. If you refer to the journal website, some of the predatory journals particularly I'm talking about, on the website, they mention it is Web of Science indexed, it is Scopus indexed, but actually it might not, because when I'm categorizing it as a predatory journal, I'm sure it is not. So what you can do is, first you need to check the Web of Science list and the Scopus list. Like we just did for Scopus, just go to the Scopus website, click on sources, check the list of the journals that are indexed in Scopus. So in case it is not there, but still the website mentions it, stay away from that journal. Just remove it from your shortlisted list of journals because that is a predatory journal. On the website, it is mentioning it is Scopus indexed, but it is actually not. How much is the fees that we just did? This is actually, the fees is very high, somewhere $3,000, $4,000. And it is completely your discretion that you decide whether you should go for the open access publishing or not. Yes, sir. APC, that is article processing fees, that is only for open access journals. However, predatory journals, this is a question by Ms. Renu Agarwal. Please clear about APC. Is it, yes, in quality journals, even if they're asking for article processing fees, please check it is an open access journal, only then it is asking for article processing fees. Otherwise, the predatory journals, they have terms like processing fees or publishing fees. So you need to be very specific, very clear the journal that you are targeting. Still, in case you're not sure, refer to the various journal matrices, refer to the rankings that are available list, and then identify and be sure before submitting. Can you ask this question? Sir, ISBN publication, ISBN you get for books. ISSN is in case of journals. So it is upon you to decide whether you need to publish your article as a chapter in the book or as a article in the journal. So I cannot tell you about that. That is completely your discretion. My email ID, sir, it is, I'll share the screen. It is kumarneha89@gmail.com. You can drop in your queries in case I might have missed during the chat section, or you can raise your hands. We can take up queries for next 5-10 minutes. I think most of them are covered, but still in case I've missed your query, you can please drop in your queries to the email and I'll definitely revert to it. Nandini ma'am,
Yes, ma'am.
you can take up some queries directly from the participants.
Sure, ma'am. I can see one hand raised. Dr. Kanchan, please ask your query.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Ma'am, I just needed to ask one thing. Like, the question was on citations only. I was a bit confused. Like, I have some of the research papers published in Scopus, and then our institution asks, how many citations do you have? So, ma'am, as a person, as a faculty, how can I go about it to check my research paper? मतलब मेरे research paper में how many people have actually gone through? I don't know the process. How to check the citations of my research paper?
I'll share my screen. Just a second.
Yes.
Ma'am, I hope the screen is visible. This is the Google Scholar screen is visible.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So if you're talking about the number of citations to your articles that you have published, when you create your account on Google Scholar, this right panel, as you can see, wherein your H index and I intend index is mentioned, you also have the citations. So if I talk about Professor Hirimting, out of all the publications, the total citations he has received till date is 2,999. This is his H index and this is his I-10 index. Particularly if you're talking about Scopus, because see, this is Google Scholar, that is all the journals which are indexed with Google Scholar. When I am referring to Scopus, the scope narrows down. So under Scopus, you can also identify the, like this author search tab is here. With the same author, I am trying to find out the details on the Scopus as well. So I've mentioned his name here and on the search bar. So he has 76 documents till date, and this is his H index. So H index as per Google Scholar is 27. These are the number of citations mentioned. The number of citations are not mentioned here, but 76 documents out of all the publications are indexed in Scopus, and his H index is 14. So this is how you can check your citations, how you can check your H index and I-10 index.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Welcome, ma'am.
Ma'am, that's all. I can't see any other hand raises. I think you have already covered all the queries in the chat box.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am. There's no other hand raise. So
Still, in
shall we-
case later on any of the participants have any queries, you can please drop an email kumarneha89@gmail.com.
So if you allow, shall we conclude the session, ma'am?
Sure, ma'am. Sure.
Okay.